Just when you thought you've seen all of my characters, go and pull this move. I may or may not have been making a story in secret, but it's not a secret anymore. Here it is, my super secret story that none of you knew about. Hello and welcome back to my channel. Hope you're doing well. I don't know how many of you guys remember this, but in one of my videos, I did say I was avoiding drawing in my sketchbook, and I gave the really amazing, totally understandable excuse of reasons. This is the reasons. Basically, I had this concept for a new story, and I thought, wouldn't it be neat if I just work on this privately, offline, and not tell anybody? And then once I finished talking about Arietta's universe and all of those characters, I pull this move and give you guys a whole new story and characters that you don't even know about. And for those of you who have been wanting sketchbook content, yes, this means next month there will be a lot of sketchbook content, including but not limited to finishing my sketchbook in a sketchbook tour. Fun times, super fun hype times. But for now, I'm going to be talking about this story. It's a super fun thing. A lot of you guys on Instagram, when I announced this character and that I had a new story, kind of lost your minds a little bit, which was the exact reaction I was hoping for, so. And I guess I will say that there's a total of 6 characters. They will each have their own dedicated video. That includes this lovely lady. And speaking of, I've done enough stalling. Let's actually talk about her, because I'm sure you guys are just itching to know more about her. Or at least I'd like to think you are. Anyway, here's Ellie. Her name is Eleanore Prescott. I call her Ellie. She doesn't like it. She is 26 years old. She is a woman. She is also very introverted. When people meet her, you get the first impression that she's a very serious, straightforward, and kind of an uptight type of person, which is exactly what she wants you to think. But if you know her for even probably just a day, you'll realize that isn't entirely true. She really wants to give off this impression that she's like a super calm and collected and chill type of person, and she's like very calculated and very just, you know, those types of characters, you know the type. You know the type. But in reality, she's not really that. The first giveaway is that she's pretty impatient and kind of short-tempered, which really makes that sort of facade she tries to put out fade away real quick. Between being impatient and short-tempered, I would say that she's more short-tempered than impatient, so know her for a day. If you don't make her mad, something else will, basically. And also, that said, she has a bit of a secret soft side that she doesn't really want people to know about, but just like her temper and her impatience, that's something that people can find out pretty quickly about her. But she tries really hard to not show that part of her. She does have that side where she likes more like cutesy, softer, more feminine things, but she doesn't think that really suits the sort of persona she tries to give off, despite all of the bows in her design. She tries to keep up with that more cold type, lone wolf type persona, and so as a result she tries to keep that side of her a little bit more hidden, but you can be the judge of whether or not that goes well for her. So all of that considered, she kind of is she's very much very distant from everyone. She tries to avoid personal attachments, that's the best way that I can put it. She tries not to get attached to places or people or things, and just tries to be as emotionally distant as possible. So we got a whole whirlwind of angst inside of her, so that's always fun in a character. We got the character who wants to be super serious, super badass character. Maybe to some extent she is, but also a secret softie, but also short-tempered, and also emotionally distant. So there's a lot to unpack here. Those things may or may not directly correlate with one another. Who knows? I know, but I'm not gonna tell you about any of it. Cause fuck you guys, right? Anyways, that's Ellie. There's a lot to unpack with her, but I hope that you like her. But anyways, what does she do? What is her? What is her? What's her story, right? Some background for her sort of world. She lives in a world where there's 2 realms of existence. That's sort of the best way I can put it. There's the non-magical realm and then the magical realm. Get used to hearing those words. They're gonna pop up a lot and they're probably going to lose meaning after a while. The 2 realms are sealed off from each other, and the magical realm If I'm having a hard time saying realm, then this video is gonna go downhill so quickly from here on out. But the magical realm and the non-magical realm are sort of sealed off from each other, or so they're supposed to be. But we'll get to that. The magical realm is ruled by this dude named Orion. I never give the names of my villains because fun secrets. I like having secrets. But you guys can have this one. And his whole deal is that he wants to sort of expand the magical realm into the non-magical realm and basically take it over and own both realms. To prevent this from happening, the non-magical realm has 2 guardians. Yes, 2. And basically they are charged with guarding the gates of the realms and just making sure that they stay sealed and closed off and make sure Orion isn't pulling any of his fucking BS and trying to ruin everybody's lives in the non-magical realm. But in the current state of the world, that didn't really go so well. The most recent guardians in the past have failed at their job. The gates have opened and the magical realm, so it started seeping into the non-magical realm. Things are not going super well for the non-magical realm, as I'm sure you can guess. Magical creatures are seeping into the non-magical realm, causing all sorts of chaos and trying to get rid of the non-magical realm or turn it into a magical realm, however you would like to see it. And I am completely right, those words are beginning to lose all sorts of meanings. They don't mean anything to me anymore. So, as I'm sure you have deduced from the moment I said there were 2 guardians, if you paid attention to my Instagram post, if you were over there, go follow me on Instagram, by the way. Ellie is one of the guardians. The guardians of these gates are the only 2 beings in the non-magical realm to use magic. Why is that? Stay tuned. But she is one of the 2 guardians that have failed at their job. So thanks, Ellie. The origin of her powers is called the Siren. Isn't that fun? And as I'm sure you can figure out, or again, if you were on my Instagram, go follow me on Instagram. She has water-based powers, and like many of you have suspected, that gem that she has on her neck directly correlates with her powers. I'll elaborate a little bit more on it later, but the gist of it is that gem is her source of powers. And let's say a different character from the story who isn't a guardian, if they had the gem, they would not be able to use powers. But Ellie, when she has it, she can use her powers. Without her gem, she can use her powers in a very limited capacity, but it's with her gem where she can actually use her powers, not necessarily to her full extent, but to a better extent than the bare minimum, basically. So it's kind of a mix of needing that to channel her powers and also ancestry, I guess. But yeah, she has water-based powers. She can control water. With her gem, she can be pretty terrifying. Without her gem, she's kind of like how Katara was episode 1 of Avatar: The Last Airbender. So the whole deal with Ellie is that she really wants to undo the mistakes that she did. Good job, Oliver. She really wants to undo her past mistakes of not being able to prevent Orion from opening the gates and trying to destroy the non-magical realm, and so a lot of the story is her trying to atone for that and trying to seal off the gates again and defeat the big bad guy. And because she has that deep-seated regret and guilt, she tends to put her goals above almost anything else. She has a very much one-track mind when it comes to that. Basically, almost every thought of her life is, I gotta close these gates, my guy. Probably not in those exact words, but I think you get my point. And throughout all of the cast, she's the one who initiates the goals. Any sort of big action that's taken in the story, it's probably because of her. And basically, she's always the first one to take action. If there's a thing to do involving the plot, she's gonna do it. And no one can tell her otherwise. And also, speaking of the other cast, she doesn't particularly get along with any of them. There's one character who she gets along with a little bit more than others, but it's not necessarily out of like a personal connection or liking said person. It's more of just like a business transaction, I guess you could say. And I know I'm saying all these words and they make sense to me because I know exactly who these characters are and I know what their story is, but to you it's probably very confusing. All I can ask is just stay with me and watch my other character videos when they come out. But that's about all I have for Ellie in terms of her personality and her story and how she fits in. So of course we got super fun Q&A section. If you don't know what this is, if this is the first character video you're seeing of mine on Instagram, go follow me on Instagram. I post a video. The first slide is a post-it note that says character Q&A, and then the next slide is a picture of the character. I leave that post up for 24 hours. You guys ask any questions you have about said character, and then after 24 hours, I take the post down and answer some of the questions here. And it's a super fun time. And of course, we have the 3 traditional questions that we answer in every single character video. She has no birthday or zodiac sign. It's a big shocker. But unlike a vast majority of my characters, she does have a last name, so she's got that going for her. All the characters in this story have last names except for 2 of them, but it's fine because that's for plot reasons. Does she prefer ice cream cake or cookie cake? Cookie cake. She prefers cookie cake, but she likes the cookie cake where it's like not just a cookie cake, it has like a ton of like frosting and then like the decorative bits on it where they have like flowers made out of like, what's it called, fondant? Basically an adorable ass cookie cake. And lastly, use Vine to describe her.
Yo, listen, you punk ass motherfucker. You best have my money by 4 o'clock. I'ma come and slice off your nuts.
Moving on from those, in my Instagram post, I did specify that she was born and raised in the non-magical realm. I don't remember if I said that in this video. I don't think I did, but that was specified. And since she was born and raised in the non-magical realm, does she ever feel out of place or cast out? Absolutely. Given the nature of the current world, people in the non-magical realm, they always had like a negative view on magic and the magical realm, but now more than ever. And they have a very negative view about the guardians who are supposed to prevent that from happening. So as I'm sure you can imagine, though she might act indifferent, she definitely does feel cast out, and she also doesn't tell people that she's the guardian. Most people don't know what the guardians look like. If anything, they'll just know them by name, so she doesn't particularly like telling people who she is. It's kind of like a mixed bag because on one hand she has to sort of use her powers to undo the damage that has happened, but also on the other hand, by using her powers, that gives away who she is, and thus people hate her, not only as a magic user but also as a guardian who failed at her job, so that's fun. Is there one person that she knows she can rely on over anyone else? Yes, there is one person who she always relies on. It may or may not be that business transaction person. I guess for now I'll refer to them as her partner, not a romantic partner. That's not at all what I mean. More of like a, again, like a business partner. And like I said, it's not out of any sort of personal like attachment to said person or any sort of liking of that person. It's more of that person's skills and who they are to Ellie. And then also to some extent her brother, who may or may not be the other protagonist of this story. Suspense. She definitely relies on him a lot less than this other person, but she does know that deep down he does share some of the same goals and aspirations in terms of undoing her mistakes, so to some extent him, but mostly not. Is she scared to connect with others, or is she too busy? Which is a sentence that I can relate to. It's more of like she's stuck between the person she is and the person she thinks she needs to be in order to get the job done. So basically like with the role that she plays, right? The big bad tough guy who gets shit done, doesn't need anybody. She doesn't obviously think that connecting with others and making friends and getting along with people really suits that sort of role, and so she doesn't do that really. Since she has water-based power, can she control things with a high concentration of water? In theory, yes. This is a little hard to explain since this is the first character video of this story and I'm planning on keeping everybody else and everything else a secret until their respective videos come out, and you'll learn a little bit more and more as each video comes out. It's kind of hard to explain all of this in the first video, but I will do my best. Hopefully this will make sense later, like 2-3 months from now. When those videos come out. But like I said, her powers and the gem that she has around her neck are directly related to one another. And that said, it's not as simple as her having the gem and then suddenly she's this like all-powerful water being. It's a little bit more complicated than that. Let's see, what would be the best way to put this? I guess you could say the gem has like a battery or something. Not a literal battery, some sort of magical battery that doesn't make sense to us non-magical beings. But let's say the battery in her gem is charged to 100%. If it's at 100%, then she could do all sorts of fucking shit, right? She can control things with high concentration of water. Like the example this person gave was blood. If the battery of her gem were at 100%, then yeah, she most definitely could. But for reasons that will probably make much more sense like 2 or 3 months from now, the gem isn't normally at 100% power. And in most situations, it's actually fairly impractical to have it at 100% power, and I'll leave it at that for now. What was she like as a kid? She was definitely more true to how she actually is rather than the persona she tries to put on. She always had that persona. I guess it's always been a part of her, but she was definitely more in touch of who she is. And I guess she was happier, so to speak. But given the events that happened, she's not as happy anymore. What was the inspiration behind her design? So, fun fact, this actually, not to sound kind of pretentious or like, wow, I'm such a creative genius. Like, this entire concept kind of came to me in a dream, which is sounds really dumb when I say it out loud. Obviously, I didn't just dream up this entire plot and all these characters and had it make perfect sense because it was a dream. There was a lot of fucking shit that didn't make any sort of sense. So I got rid of the parts that didn't make any sense, tried to make some parts that made sense, and a lot of work later, out came this story. And basically, Ellie's design is the result of that. Of course, this isn't exactly how she was when she first existed in my mind, but a lot of the more notable aspects of her design, like the jacket and the long dark hair, those are parts that were always a part of her, so that's how she came to be. Her and then one other character were the ones that visually had a concept, and then all of the other characters I had to make from scratch. Does she allow others to use her nickname? Absolutely not. She doesn't even like it when the people who do use it, and if she were a real person and she heard me calling her Ellie, she would be very upset with me. But there's one other character who calls her Ellie, and because that character calls her Ellie, as a result, most of the other characters also call her Ellie, and she hates it. Does she do better in hot temperatures or cold temperatures? Absolutely cold temperatures. Completely unrelated to the whole water user thing. I'm kidding, they're directly related. Does she prefer hot or cold coffee? She likes both. She does like coffee. Between the two of them, she prefers cold coffee, but she likes both. If you know what I mean. I'm kidding. Or am I? When is she most likely to lose her temper? Aside from all the time, the thing that makes her lose temper most is actually her brother. They don't get along the best. But, like I said, her temper is very short, and she gets frustrated over most things, let's be honest. When she's stressed out, what calms her down? It's actually another character that calms her down. Not necessarily a thing, more of a who. Horton, here's a who. I'm tired. I'll just drink my coffee and keep moving forward. But yes, it's another character who tends to cool her down, kind of bring her back from her. I didn't think this sentence through. When she gets really mad and loses her God. My brain right now. When she loses her temper over nothing, when she's really upset or really stressed, there's usually another character who steps in and kind of brings her back down from all of that and ties her to reality a bit more. Is there any particular reason that she uses water power? Is it from her parents or just cuz? The actual real world me telling you about my story reason is because of my dream where all of this fucking popped out of my brain. That was what she had in the dream, so I figured, alright, well, we'll just go with that. Water powers, here you go. But the actual in-lore reason is, like I said, it's a combination of the gem and an ancestry thing. Basically, there was one of two powers that she could have inherited, and water was just the one that she ended up getting. So it was a pretty 50-50 split between water and another power. What's the purpose for the bow on her neck? Really just to hold her gem. She keeps it with her at all times, and it's in the form of a bow because she likes bows. It doesn't necessarily need to be a bow, she just likes bows. So that's how she chooses to hold her gem. What is her biggest fears or insecurities? Her biggest insecurity is failing at her job in the past of keeping the gates closed. And her biggest fear is never being able to close them again. She really hates the fact that she failed in the past and kind of doomed the world, and when I say it like that, I think any of us would be upset. And her biggest fear is never being able to fix that. And lastly, what is her height? It's quite a question to end on, I know. None of these characters have exact heights, but I imagine her being somewhere between 5'8" and 5'9". And for all of my viewers not in the US, I have it translated here. I have the exact numbers between 172.72 centimeters and 175.26 centimeters. So around that height. And that's about all I have. Not about all I have. That's all I have for you today about Ellie. I'm really excited to finally be sharing this whole story concept with you. It's something that I have been working on behind the scenes for months now. Like, I remember when I first started the sketchbook that I'm currently on, I said, like, this won't take me long because this sketchbook's rather small. And then I started working on this, and because I was working on this in that sketchbook, I was trying to avoid drawing in that sketchbook, and instead I would opt for drawing on loose sheets of paper because I wanted to keep this a secret until now, because fun. So as a result, it took a lot longer for me to fill that sketchbook just because I was avoiding drawing into it, and I didn't want to share any of the characters. And I have a way to work around that now that you know at least one character, but I'm so happy to be sharing this character with you. I love all of the characters out of this story. I love the story itself. I think it's super fun. So let me know what you think. Let me know your thoughts on Ellie. Let me know your thoughts on the story. And let me know if you're excited for the rest of the characters in this story. A lot of you guys really loved Ellie on Instagram, and by that I mean you all wanted to marry her, sleep with her, have her step on you, all of the above. So let me know your thoughts. I have a feeling that's going to be a trend for a lot of these characters, if not all of these characters, so hope you're excited. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. If you're excited to hear more, I'm definitely excited to share more. And if you are new here, hello, my name is Oliver. Post a lot of art here on this channel. I do these sort of character videos monthly, and if this is the first video you're seeing of mine, you're just in time to hear about this new story, so if you want to hear more, consider subscribing. I have a lot of fun here on this channel. Aside from drawing my own original characters and sharing my stories, I do make fan art quite often, so come join the party. And if you want to see more from me, you can follow me on social media. Those will be on screen now and linked in the description box below. Instagram would be the best place to go if you want to be a part of these videos, but if not, anywhere is really fine. And there will be some more videos on screen now and linked in the iCard for you to check out if you want. I'd really appreciate it. Watch them videos, boys and girls and non-binary individuals. But anyway, I'm gonna go. In case you couldn't tell, I'm tired and my brain is malfunctioning a little bit. So I'm a bounce. I'll see you next week, hopefully. Bye.